Hello and welcome to bonus episode 17, another Star Wars Celebration Chicago bonus edition of the Book Wars pod, or Boner 17, as Kate really wanted me to say.
Some people put a lot of thought into calling it Boner 17.
It honestly, you can tell that a lot of thought was put in.
Yeah, which is why I wanted you to acknowledge.
Literally, we did an intro already, and Kate
Thank
made me
you.
stop and do it over because I didn't say Boner 17. Anyway, I'm Chris. I'm here with all three of my co-hosts, Kate, Kristen, and Miranda. How's everybody doing today?
We're in our new house. I think the audio quality is worse, but we are in a separate room. So take that for what it is. We haven't put things on the walls or anything yet, so it's real echoey in here, but
Yeah, that'll happen.
ooh, we're not dead yet.
Yeah. I mean,
Yet.
our audio quality is allegedly better, so.
Thanks.
Yay.
Yeah, thanks very
Patreon
much to the
patrons.
Tashi Station Radio Patreon subscribers who, thanks to all your generosity and monthly gifts, we were able to buy a completely new audio setup for Kate and myself. So when we ask you all for money, we're not just pocketing it, we swear.
We're absolutely not pocketing it because that would mean that we had money.
I know, right?
So
No
true.
money.
So true.
We're actually saving up for an Ewok.
Are you?
We weren't supposed to say that yet.
Oh, shit.
It was going to
Sorry,
be a
guys.
surprise.
Damn.
Surprise Ewok
My bad.
in the audio medium.
Yes. My bad, guys.
Are you guys drinking?
Yes.
I finished my water because I'm still getting over being sick.
Fucking. I'm having another. I'm having the last of my share of the Star Hill beer, the raspberry sour. So I've been drinking that for like maybe 3 episodes straight, but that's fine.
You're not animals like me and Miranda, so it's fine. Well, I think we both actually. I may have had Ready Player One on the pod before, but Miranda hasn't.
Yay.
When did you have this on the pod?
I don't know.
I don't know. So I am drinking, like Kristen said, a beer called Ready Player One. It's by Level Beer, which is a Portland brewery. I think both of us have had one of their other beers recently. This one is a dry hopped saison, so very excited about it. I'm sure there are tasting notes, but it tastes like wheat juice.
Yeet juice.
Oh my god. Love a good wheat juice. That was a good noise.
Thank you.
I'm having a new IPA from Fort George because I'm trash. It's called How would you pronounce this, Kate? Can I spell it to you and you
Yeah.
can tell me?
Yes.
CRYSKNIFE.
Okay. Chris.
Can you type it in the chat?
Chris.
Can I? Maybe.
Chris knife? Or some.
Yeah, Chris Knife.
Chris
Knife.
Chris knife? Chris.
Okay. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
don't know like what the appropriate way to say it is.
It's like crystal
Anyway.
knife, but
Yeah.
without the TAL and space.
Yeah.
And it has
Anyway,
a knife on the
It's
can.
got a knife on the can.
Yeah.
Is the knife
Um,
made of crystal?
I don't know. It's shiny. It's a shiny boy.
Like George Washington's horse.
Yeah. Patrol the land.
God damn it. That was a deep cut. We're not. We're not explaining it.
Throw back
Continue.
all the way to 2010.
Anyway.
This is a limited edition seasonal, and it's a collaboration between Fort George and Astoria, Oregon, and Mutual Friend Brewing Company, which I don't. No, sorry, it's called Our Mutual Friend Brewing Company. OMF. I don't know where the fuck they are. I looked it up and already forgot, but this is all I have been drinking. And they've got I just noticed they've got a new they've got a new stamp on their beer that said distributed only in the Pacific Northwest, just to remind you that they're assholes. So
Nice.
I'm gonna
Beautiful.
pour this into a coffee mug.
Fuck yeah.
As you should. Getting back to the actual podcast and not our audio issues / drinks / grumpiness today.
So grumpy today, guys. Jesus.
Everything's fine.
I'm
we
like
swear.
past grumpy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Kate is post grumpy. Kate's grumpiness is now just random primary color shapes at this point.
No, it's just anger. It's just
Yeah.
red triangles.
Just
It's basically been 3 weekends of us moving at this point, so
oh god, I'm so sorry.
God. It's fine. Someone definitely not talking right now may have been deathly ill, so there was not a lot of packing that happened. So that was maybe part of the issue.
That will happen.
However, we're almost out of the apartment, and we
Good.
have it until the 27th, so it's all gravy.
Thank goodness.
God.
And we are done with Star Wars Celebration. This will be coming out after our first Celebration wrap-up pod with at Space Jess. Thank you again to Jess for joining us. That was a really fun conversation. And today we're going to be continuing along with the Star Wars Celebration theme and talking about some of the previews and trailers that we saw of all the stuff there. And then next week we're going to be getting back to books, start reading Battlefront Twilight Company by Alexander Freed. So yeah, now, like, I guess moving into our outline, the first thing on here is OMG, how was Star Wars Celebration, which is weird for me to ask because I was there.
I wrote it on there. Oh my God, how was Star Wars Celebration? Is that
It
better?
was great, Kristen. Thank you for asking.
It was wonderful. It was just a magical Star Wars time, and nobody was mean to me, and it was lovely. Like,
Yeah, no, and we said this on the last pod, but like, I was just really struck by how positive everybody was. Like, it has never been more clear to me that all of the like online trolls are they just don't, like, it's just all fake. Like, it's not an actual meaningful part of the fandom.
also, it's literally a bunch of Twitter bots.
Yeah, it's like it's the Rebel Force radio assholes and it's Twitter bots is honestly who it is.
Or the Rebel Force radio assholes who made Twitter bots.
That they definitely did that too.
Yeah.
So like it's great because like everybody was really positive. Like it was like everybody was really positive about people's cosplays. Like didn't see a single person getting harassed in their cosplay, which is always something to worry about at big cons. And you know, props to Reed Pop for fostering a really safe and constructive environment, particularly for women cosplaying.
Especially because, like, there are assholes out there who think that Huttslayer Leia is an invitation.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
And so
Did you guys dress up at all?
I brought my casual Kira. I did not actually get a chance to, like, put her on because I was running around so much.
and I brought a casual Han, which was basically just me wearing a brown leather jacket. And
It only really would have worked if
if Kate had been Kira.
Yeah.
So I wore it because that was the jacket I brought. And so I wore it with a dark Henley and jeans and boots. So I just looked like I was wearing clothing.
Fuck them.
But if Kate had been wearing her Kira, it would have worked.
yeah, it's not my fault.
Love it. You guys are in the 501st in your area.
We are.
And you're really cool fucking cosplayers, but also cosplaying at cons is a pain in the fucking ass. So huge shout out to everyone at Star Wars Celebration who actually
Yeah, we
serious,
just-
especially for people who like schlep their armor over there somehow. Like, God bless.
Yeah, we just decided that it wasn't worth trying to ship the armor over or ship the costumes over for
Yeah.
Kate's Jawa and my Anakin.
It's a
But
lot of-
next time.
It's a lot of cloth. We have a lot of cloth between the two of us, so it takes up space, unfortunately.
cloths.
Yep.
Kristen, do you have other questions before we start?
That was mostly my question. How was meeting everybody also?
It was good. People are really nice in
was
person. It was
lovely.
nice to see, you know, I called out a bunch of people on the last pod that we, you know, interact with online and got to meet in person. But so many people in the Tashi Station Radio Patreon Slack. So many people just from Star Wars Twitter in general. Got to hang out with the Rogue Pod crew, who are always very fun. Obviously, our Tashi Station family.
Odie, who didn't bring Nenya, the corgi.
Yeah, Odie did not bring Nenya.
Odie, how dare
He like drove up there too. I was like, you could have brought Nenya.
It was really funny. It was really funny because so I'm like, I like go up to, I see Brian and Nancy, our pod parents, at a bar, and I go up to them and say, hey, and they're talking to someone, and he, you know, I introduce myself, and he says, hey, I'm Charles. I'm like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And then Nancy's like, he's Odie. I'm like, why are you in? I realized that you have a real name that was given to you by real human parents,
Which somehow
but your
wasn't
name,
Odie.
I know you as Odie, so I'm gonna need you to get on the Odie level. It was pretty funny.
We are our online personalities, right? At Real Baby Bird.
Please let me laugh.
Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to rehash too much of all the shit that you guys already talked to Jess about. That's awesome. I heard the podcast meetup was fucking crazy because everybody's cool and everybody wanted to come, and it was a million people.
It was a million. Sorry if we had any people who wanted to meet us who we missed. We actually moved over to the Marriott bar because the Hyatt bar was just way too crowded.
It was a lot.
And we tried to tweet about that, but obviously not everybody has that. But we did meet some people who were very lovely. And so, you know, we hope to meet more of you. If you wanted to meet us but didn't get a chance, let us know, and, you know, let us know what area you're in, and if we're ever in the area, we'll try and meet up.
Definitely. Also, we didn't shout out this person last time. Shout out to Lethal Draws, who came up to me to say hi at the podcast meetup. I've been a fan of their Rebels art for a million billion years on Tumblr before I even started this train wreck of a podcast. And now they listen to our podcast, and they love it, and they gave me pins and stickers, and they know how much I love Canara, and it was just like this moment of just like mutual, just like, but I love your stuff. No, I love your stuff, and it was just the cutest thing. Like they're so pure.
Yeah, that was honestly really adorable. It was just like
it was so
mutual
good.
fan flailing.
It was very good. So just shout
That's
out to Alex.
amazing.
They're the fucking best.
That's why we do this shit. Just as a reminder, since we started this podcast talking about how we're all so stressed and everything's horrible.
Yep.
That's why we do this, even though sometimes, I mean, you guys know this, fucking podcasting is a lot of work. So we are trying our best, and thank you guys for always being patient with us, and for always making the thing.
And for waiting,
for
multiple days for last week's episode because I was sick all week.
And I started a new job in addition to moving. I just like to do all of it at the same time so that I have a nervous breakdown.
It's like when you're in college and you just schedule all your classes for one day so that you'll have the rest of the week off, and you think it's a good idea, and then it's really
It's
not.
never a good idea.
Shut up, Chris. You don't know my life.
No, but I know my life.
He did it too.
Why would I ever do that on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 a.m. until like 9 o'clock in the evening?
That's a thing that happened.
Like it was a good idea.
Oh.
You think the 5-day weekend will be worth it when you're setting up your when you're registering for classes the semester before, and then it's just really not.
So much drinking though.
It's true.
Should we talk about the trailers and all the shit that Del Rey isn't telling us about that is killing me?
Fuck yes.
Yeah, the trailers and non-trailers, absolutely. So I know we wanted to start with 9, obviously. Really the only actual news that we got out of Star Wars Celebration is that Episode 9 is titled The Rise of Skywalker. It is also, in my head, titled Episode 9, Too Sheev, Too Sidious.
I hate you.
Because
So thanks.
we found out, obviously, the big twist in the trailer was Palpy's back.
Muhaha, etc.
At least his disembodied laugh.
He has such a good laugh
true.
though.
Yo, did you guys watch the panel stream?
We didn't do fucking
Okay,
anything.
so
We were moving last
basically
weekend.
the way the panel went is like, you know, like it's like an hour and a half panel, and they spent an hour 15 minutes. Colbert was the host, which was interesting. Then they had JJ and Kathleen Kennedy and a bunch of the cast come out, and so they're talking about the movie, showing some pictures, which was awesome. And then like they finally end with the trailer, and like they hadn't said the title yet, so like it's the last thing that happens. But then when the trailer finishes running the first time, everybody is like, nobody's still on stage anymore, except for out of nowhere, because he was not one of the people on the panel before, Ian McDermott is standing there and then says in his Palpatine voice, "Roll it again." And then it just rolls again, and then the panel ends.
Oh
It was
God.
wild.
I did watch noted Twitter friend Southern Cynics House's reaction to the trailer, which was
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. Oh my god.
TM.
I won't tell the story again on the podcast, or on this episode because I told it on the last bonus episode. But I was in St. Louis for work when the trailer actually dropped, and I flew straight from St. Louis to Chicago after I was done. But oh my god, I would have given anything to be in a room with other Star Wars fans, just like screaming at this trailer. So like the first thing I want to talk about having to do with the title. I'm actually really glad I know we were like waiting for it and complaining about how we didn't even have a fucking title for this movie that is honestly dropping imminently. But also, can you imagine how many people would have like shat like confused rage bricks if we had gotten the title without this trailer?
I would be so happy if we did though, because I love it when everyone is annoyed.
I know. It would have been so funny.
And then I log off Twitter.
Well, let's start our deep dive there. What do we think of it? What do we think it means?
Everyone's a Skywalker.
Exactly.
You're a Skywalker. You're a Skywalker. You're Snoke. I'm Snoke.
No, exactly. I mean, I do think that's part of it, and it, you know, it's a nice cap to the Skywalker saga. Obviously, this is the first time we've actually gotten the name Skywalker in a Skywalker saga title or a Star Wars movie ever, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But also, I know that Chris and I were speculating off pod. Sorry, we're talking off pod, Kristen.
Listen, these last 2 weeks have been all extenuating circumstances. So if you needed to talk to Star Wars, it is totally
everything
fine.
is a hot ass mess right now. But we were talking about how we're wondering if, you know, if it is time for the Jedi to end. Like, are they evolving into a new order and they're just going to be called Skywalkers? And then we were talking about when we were reading Thrawn Alliances, and we know that the Chiss refer to Force sensitive, you know, fellow Chiss as Skywalkers. So that would be a fucking cool tie-in, because like,
because they'd be walking in the sky.
exactly,
Yep, exactly.
And like, it would be a cool tie-in because like, other than you know, it being funny for Thrawn to meet Anakin and be like, I'm sorry, what is your last name? Like, there was really no point in calling them that. Like, calling the Chiss Force sensitive Skywalkers, really. Like, I mean, it's a cool name, but like, it doesn't really have any storytelling value until now, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I love it. You know, I don't know if I've said on Twitter, maybe I said it as when I was live tweeting his Book Wars pod, but I really do think it's like the Skywalkers are the new order. Like, the Jedi have ended. Rey is the last Jedi, and then she founds like the Skywalker Order, who is like closer to the original concept of the Force, because obviously Luke, his whole thing in The Last Jedi is that like the Jedi, you know, got really arrogant and, you know, strayed from their teachings and all that.
But are they gonna let them fuck now?
That's the question. You know who they're not going to let them fuck? Kylo. Sorry. What?
Okay, but also like separate from all of this stuff where it's like hilarious because of Thrawn and, you know, the broader storytelling of, you know, Luke's, you know, influence on Rey, kind of teaching her that the Jedi should be something different. The Skywalkers as, you know, some kind of order sounds really fucking badass.
Right? Seriously.
Like, why have we been wasting Skywalker on some useless twink-ass family when this whole time we could have called them the Smiths and, like...
Yeah.
Hashtag useless twink ass family.
Right.
God bless. No, it's true. I mean, it's just a badass title to bestow upon another person, definitely.
Yeah. I also just love it because it really reinforces kind of what Ryan was getting at the end of episode 8, where like we've had the chosen one, and like we've had the first chosen one, we've had the second chosen one, whichever one you think was the real chosen one, Anakin or Luke. But like,
or if there was one to begin with.
or if that prophecy was real to begin with, like, but like it's Kristen is the chosen one, to be sure.
It's pork chop.
Porkchop is the chosen one. But now we have we're getting back to Rey, who is, somebody whose parents weren't famous Force sensitives. We have Broom Boy, famously. We're back to kind of the original point of Star Wars, where it's not, you inherit your power and your prestige. Like, it is kind of what you make it. You take your destiny into your hands more. So I love that we're kind of getting back to that potentially.
Mm-hmm. And I think it would be very JJ for him to pull that back out, since he just loves honoring the original trilogy so much.
Yeah, I really want to know once the movie comes out and has been seen, and in 5 years when people are doing a look back, I really want to know what JJ's original plot was and what JJ's current plot is, because I do think that there are through lines. From Kathleen Kennedy gave an interview where she said that Palpatine being the big bad in 9 was always in the plans. So take from that what you will for the next 6 months. So there's that. I think, we've, from various interviews with, whether it's filmmakers or writers from Episode 9 or disgruntled cast members who weren't in Episode 8, Simon Pegg.
For Christ's sakes.
It's pretty clear that Rey was intended to be a Skywalker, and by intended, I mean that was JJ's thought
Vision.
process when he was filming 7. Obviously, Ryan did not go that route. And that's a different debate, but I like it. But so it's interesting to get back to what is a Skywalker. Is it bloodline? Is it family? Is it ability? It's I think it's a much more interesting question now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the friends we made along the way.
You're so right, Miranda.
Oh, jeez Louise.
What an insightful comment.
I don't want to skip Sand Planet. I know we'll come back to it. But I should have put this on the outline, but I didn't come up with it until we started talking about it. Besides just the fucking rude ass music that they put in the trailer, I think the trailer has a really, really interesting use of sound, just in general. This came up just now when we were talking about Palpatine, and I was like, oh my god, how iconic do you have to be to just have your laugh and us be like, holy shit, we know.
I know, right?
This. And same with Kylo's. Chris, what kind of ship is that? It's not a TIE. It's a TIE.
So it is a TIE striker.
It is a
TIE striker, but this is a good segue to the question of who is in the TIE fighter. That is not identical to Kylo's ship in 8. The cockpit of Kylo's ship in 8 is more
Oblong.
elongated. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more squarical. It's more elongated. Whereas this one looked like it was basically a round TIE fighter cockpit taped into his old TIE Striker wings. Which begs the question, is this Kylo? Has he upgraded his ship? Is this a ship that was put together and scavenged? Who is driving it?
Right. And I think somebody mentioned it might have even been you, Chris, in the Tashi Station Patreon Slack, that Poe is, all we know about the pilot is that they're wearing black gloves, and Poe is also wearing black gloves.
Yep.
As he's on the, I don't know, skiff or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And when they're on the cliff overlooking the Death Star ruins. I am a firm believer it is not Kylo. Because I think, I don't think it would be Kylo and he wouldn't be shooting at her for Reylo reasons, but also is it possible that it's Kylo and he's just I don't want to shoot her, I want to run her over because I'm extra? Yes, that's entirely possible because Kylo is extra. But
do you remember when he just shot at Ghost Luke?
I do.
God help me.
I like a lot. But yeah, I don't think it's Kylo. I think if they'd wanted us to think it was Kylo, they would have shown Kylo.
I mean, classic Star Wars misdirection.
Yeah.
So, sure, makes sense.
But yeah, that ties in totally to the sound shit, right? Because we've got Luke's voiceover during this too, and we've got TIE fighters making their terrible elephant noise, and then Palpy's laugh at the end, and the fucking terrorist music.
Oh, jeez. When the music started up, I started screaming and making muffled screaming, screeching noises in the middle of my job's convention hall, in the middle of the on the exhibit floor. It was very inappropriate.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh my god! And my coworker who was showing me the fucking trailer was just like, what? And I was like, do you even know what this song is? He's like, no, that's why I'm asking you. So I tell him, and he's just like, and meanwhile I'm on the floor sobbing uselessly while I'm supposed to be working a cash register. It's fine.
Situation normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the trailer like on my lunch break at work, and when the music first started playing, I was like, no, this isn't it. They wouldn't do this. And then 2 seconds later, I was just like, oh fuck, they're really going for it. They want me to cry watching this fucking trailer. This is fine. Situation normal.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because this was very clearly a trailer that was intended to like reassure people a little bit that like, because there was all this hashtag controversy, which how real it was or how real it wasn't, whatever. But this was definitely a trailer that was intended to reassure people that like this is, you know, your Star Wars that you like. Because if you'll notice, so we had the sound we had other than like sound effects was Luke's monologue, obviously very plot hints in there. Palpatine's laugh, plot hints in there. Music, obviously any trailer has music. The only other sound other than those three things is Lando laughing. Just to get Billy D in there and have that iconic laugh.
I was about to say, speaking of iconic laughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you just say Lando Snow?
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Okay,
It's
cool.
a long con.
Great.
Sorry, I literally can't stop. I really wish I could. I know it's getting insufferable, and I just can't. Thank you guys for indulging that sound sub point. I thought it was really important.
No, it is.
Also, one other thing about
what
sound
in the fuck
that I have
else?
not seen discussed very much. When the title is revealed and we go to that last like chord resolution, it is, if you listen to it again, it is Kylo's theme but resolved in a major key.
Nerd alert.
So does this
That's
mean
interesting,
hashtag Bendemption? It doesn't. Does this mean, you know,
I'm-
restoring order to the galaxy and balance to the Force? Yes.
I'm sorry. Kylo crazy gluing his helmet back together with blood did not like. I know.
It's fine. It's situation normal.
I'm sorry. That didn't hit at Bendemption for you, Christopher.
I keep seeing people on like, I keep seeing a lot of Raylos online being A, mad online, but B, like just trying to like pull things out of this trailer and out of things that people have said when it's just so obvious that that Raylo is not Endgame. Like I literally saw people like being like, so like you have Kylo like murdering the fuck out of someone like in that forest or whatever. Like I've seen people being like, well, he's obviously like fighting against the First Order for the Resistance. And like, he's literally next to a stormtrooper who is also shooting at this person. Like, it is a giant ass
Yeah, and
red
also the
background. I
person-
don't know how much more obvious we can make it for you.
The person he's fighting also looks like they're wielding like some kind of club or like
Yeah.
axe or something. Like they don't have a blaster. He's just like beating the shit out
Yeah.
of somebody, and the stormtroopers are shooting at him. That doesn't really scream redemption
Sure.
to me.
Nor does recreating your monster helmet.
Yes. Speaking of monster helmets and what they symbolize, I'm sorry, that was a really bad segue because I just want to talk about
Monster helmets. I thought we were talking about daddy.
I'm sorry, I just
issues.
want to talk about hashtag sand. There were several cognitive leaps to understand why I went with that segue, but never mind.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
Kylo, Vader, sand. Let's go.
okay.
All right. Do we think this is a new sand planet or one we have seen before?
I think that based on, you know, maybe just based on the trailer and like how we see that they're trying to incorporate the, you know, older Star Wars figures that we know and love, I would guess that this is a sand planet that we already know. You know, which one, why they're there, that remains to be seen. I was rewatching the trailer again earlier today, and like
Pod prep.
over analyzing the scenery. What's the
The landscape.
thank you?
Yeah.
Over analyzing the landscape. Because I saw when the trailer came out, people were talking about it, and there's the one shot of Poe and Finn and all of them on like the little skiff or whatever. People are like, this looks like Jabba's yacht thing. They must be on Tatooine. And I was like, okay, but let's look at this. It could be, Jakku. It could be Jeddah, because didn't they only just kill the city?
Yeah.
Because, like, if you look at the landscape, there's all sorts of, like, rocky formations.
Yes.
And we see that on Jeddah. We see it in the books on Jakku.
Yes.
We haven't seen it in the film. But,
Yes.
Yeah.
One
Oh my
Star
gosh.
Wars film.
But I would guess that it's not Tatooine. I could be wrong. I don't know anything. It's fine.
Twin suns. Twin suns. Twin
It would
suns.
actually be really fascinating if it's Jeddah, just to tie in all the Death Star shit, because of course that's the first test, really, of the.
Yeah. Of the 3 desert planets we know, of those 3, I would love for it to be Jeddah. I think that would be most interesting. Yes. I hope it is somewhere new, because I think that would be interesting. I think it's Jakku.
God damn it! I mean, it would be peak JJ to have watched the OT, watch Luke go back to Tatooine, and then send right back to Jakku.
That's why I think it's Jakku.
Yeah, yeah.
Me and Miranda almost both just screamed to the microphone when you said that. Why does everyone want to go back to Jakku? Because we're terrible pieces of shit.
No, this
Amazing.
is why we do the podcast with y'all.
Like, we both had to look at each other and be like, they're making a salient point. Please don't scream, and please don't scream Star Wars quotes directly into the mic simultaneously.
but we're also teeing this up for you.
Yeah. Well, continuing with this train of thought, another reason I don't want it to be Jakku is because I like when we see new planets. And
Oh, always.
there's some sort of mountainous planet that we see, some sort of ship, maybe an A-Wing, flying into. But the other planet that we see very well could be Endor, where we see the Death Star wreckage.
I was wondering, do we think that's the first Death Star or the second one? It's probably the second one since Palpy is a player, right?
I think unless it was complete misdirection, which it could have been, easily could have been, then it's the second Death Star.
Right, because
What if it's a rogue other Death Star that
Secret
wasn't
third
in the
Death Star?
movies yet?
I would be furious.
That's the contingency.
It's the contingency Death
I would be
Star,
so
okay?
angry if that were the case.
No, let's...
I know, but like that's actually like not a terrible. Like,
No,
I'm not
I know.
No,
like, that's
absolutely.
the
I was
thing.
going to say, let's talk a little bit more about the contingency, because obviously we talked about Palpatine and the fact that he's here, but we didn't really talk about like what that means in the scope of the universe. And obviously the Jakku contingency takes on a whole new meaning now.
Right. Like,
Like, what if that bitch is on Jakku?
fuck, that'd be crazy. Yeah, I mean, we literally just spent a great deal of time talking about the contingency because we just read Empire's End. But we thought that basically if Palpy couldn't have the Empire, he wanted no Empire. No, he wanted to get rid of this entire fucking failure so he could come back to something better.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah, or start again.
Right.
Like him personally, it seems like.
But something better.
Yeah.
Like he did. Yeah. No. He didn't want this.
So are you saying that Palpatine is like pulling that shit where he leaves middle school and gets a better haircut and comes back for high school and is like, watch me run
Literally,
shit?
yes. Yes.
It's canon.
Yeah, and particularly, so I'm not going to get into spoiler territory, but I have finished Master and Apprentice, which just came out last week.
Fucking
And I have a
rude.
lot of feelings, and I need us to discuss it on the podcast because I have a lot of feelings, and they relate to the big bad across the entire series, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yes.
I showed Kate
Chris,
screamed.
don't you literally like don't you literally? I know. I love how Kate doesn't care about spoilers, so she.
No,
gets
it's
to know
great because
about
then I
them,
get
and
to
it's
scream my feelings
amazing.
at someone.
It's great.
It is good. Chris, don't you set the podcast schedule?
I do. No, we are going to read Master and Apprentice at some point. We just haven't yet.
So we are definitely two books we are definitely reading. It so happens before 9 comes out are Master and Apprentice and Lords of the Sith. So
Yeah, we're gonna get some palpy action.
yeah, so we're gonna check that shit out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
So
I just want an autobiography called Sheev.
I mean, we are getting Thrawn Treason this summer, which we also depending on how crucial it seems, we may also fit that in before 9 comes out because that comes out in July, so we'll have time. So to be determined on that. But yeah, like I really think that this is being set up so that Palpatine is the big bad across all this, and like I don't know what that means for Snoke. You know,
Palpatine.
Oh my god.
I mean, well, honestly though, like the question is it
Like, what if he's a Palpatine Horcrux? That's all I'm saying.
My god. I mean, weirder shit has happened in Star Wars, so
yeah, or some sort of like Palpatine possession, like yeah, like I absolutely think that's not off the table at this point.
I think that's the thing. It could be that Snoke was literally nobody, which is why Ryan felt like, hey, let's just cut him in half. Who the fuck cares? Because one of the things that Kathleen Kennedy did say at the panel for 9 is that Palpy was in the plan for 9 this entire time. He was always going to come back.
Yep.
That is some wild
Right.
shit. Do you guys think it matters whether or not he's Palpatine or no one?
Snoke? I don't think it.
Yes. Sorry, this is a real question about Snoke.
No, that's. I mean, no, I don't think it matters.
One in a row.
I don't think it matters. I think
Yeah.
Me neither.
there's ways to do it either way. Like obviously there's bad ways to do it either way because that's how stories go. But I think if Snoke is just like some sort of pretender and Palpatine is like, watch that fucker die because he sucked, like I'd be fine with that. But I don't know. I kind of love the Skywalker saga being the rise and fall of the Skywalkers and the Jedi, like the rise and fall of the Skywalkers, the ultimate fall of all the Jedi, and Palpatine is the big bad across all 3 trilogies. Because I do, that is something that like not has been missing because that feels like a criticism, but like something that it does feel like is less connected in the sequel trilogy, because obviously you had Palpatine in the original trilogy and the prequels because that's how it was predetermined. And tying Palpatine into the sequel trilogy, for me personally, really helps wrap it up and put a bow on the fact that this era of Star Wars is complete. It is like all a nice little package. And it's, it is all, I don't know. I lost my train of thought halfway through there.
It's like poetry, blah blah blah.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Totally.
Poetry.
Fuck off, Miranda. God, we spent too much time
Jesus.
together.
I mean,
No, but I mean, I think, if the intention kind of the whole way for setting up the sequel trilogy was to have Palpatine as the big bad, in the end, and like have that be kind of end game in terms of villainy, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they tie it in. Because obviously, like, he has not been visibly part of things as far as we're aware until this point. So, whether that's finding a way to, incorporate the contingency, if that's what it really is, or if there's some other nefarious shit he's been up to, I would be very interested to see how that translates into the First Order, into the other threats across the galaxy, and all of that.
All right, one last point on the trailer before we move on to some of the other stuff.
well, we have to talk about Luke stuff, so yeah.
Oh, what other Luke stuff?
Well, we haven't talked about the lightsaber yet.
Well, that's what I was going to talk about. Is anybody
well, the
else?
voiceover too, but anyway, go
Yeah,
on.
that's true. We haven't talked about the voiceover. Is anybody else a little bit disappointed that Rey just taped the Skywalker lightsaber back together instead of making her own?
Me.
Yeah.
Me, to To be fair, she does not have anyone to tell her where to go find kyber
I mean, neither did Luke.
crystals. Great point. Thank you.
Also, to be fair, because of the Luke voiceover and because of Mark flapping his mouth, we know that Luke, as a Force Ghost, is going to show up in 9. So he definitely could have been like, that away, young friend. Go
Yeah,
mining.
I mean, also, like in the original trilogy, Obi-Wan like fucking Force speaks to him to tell him to go to Dagobah. He can figure out how to go find
Yeah.
a kyber crystal and put together a little lightsaber guy.
Obi-Wan, whoever the fuck you are.
But yeah, that's just like a personal thing. I'm sure it will make, like, I have no fear at this point that I am not going to like this movie. Like, I'm sure it will work out and it will make sense to me. And then like a year from now, I'll look back being like, yeah, I like that. I like that story choice. But I would have loved to see Rey make her own lightsaber like Luke did, just to become her own, fully become her own person, as opposed to an extension of the, you know, capital S Skywalkers, like the family.
Yeah, but like, what if something different happens in the New Order where they don't have to use lightsabers? Blah blah blah. Something.
I mean, exactly. That's very possible. I am going to be a little sad if we have Star Wars without
Or-
lightsabers.
I could also see her making it like at the end of the movie, and then if you know, I think kind of the theory that we posited earlier was like, this is what the new order of Force users is gonna be, and that's like one of the relics
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
eventually. But
I like that.
That'd be baller.
if we just wanna,
Actually, one thing that does back that up, so you all won't have seen this, but anybody who did watch the panel, either online or in person, so they showed set pictures of the various characters, and one of them was Daisy in a forest setting, and, well, actually, backing up, the first picture we saw was the big three and Chewie all together, and in a jungle setting.
Thank God.
And thank God they were all together.
Isn't someone missing from the big three?
No,
Chris?
Kylo's a villain.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just very salty. But
Don't be sorry.
so and anyway, and what JJ said is that this is the opening of the movie. Like, this is the first scene in the movie. So we know that the movie starts with all of them together on some sort of jungle or foresty planet. Then when they got to Daisy, starting to talk to Daisy alone, they showed Rey in a forest setting, and she was holding a very long stick, like a fighting stick.
Stick saber.
So that, I think, Miranda, maybe you're onto something where you say that maybe Rey didn't repair the lightsaber until halfway through later in the movie, because clearly she's using something else for a weapon at the beginning of the movie.
right. I mean, I'm sure she has to go back to the planet.
Jakku.
Fucking-
Sorry.
She has to go back and like find the lightsaber, because when Luke died, like, he was Force ghosting from afar. You know, is that the same planet? Probably not. I don't really care that much. But like, I can just,
At least we're real, okay?
I can just see, like, you know, several instances in Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, where, like, you know, building a lightsaber or having a lightsaber would be important, but also, you know, Rey just loves a fighting stick.
Yep.
That she does.
It's true.
Can we get a fighting stick with some kyber crystals in them?
That'd be-
So basically an electrostaff.
Oh, like
Oh
that,
my gosh.
or like a Maul
Yeah, or Maul.
Ooh.
situation.
Or double.
Jedi Temple Guard.
Ooh. I would.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly possibilities, no question.
I would really love that. I mean,
She's so good with her
it's
fighting
true.
stick.
It would actually be really cool if she like rebuilt it just to as a way to honor Luke / the old Jedi Order. Just because, I mean, she does, after all, have the hashtag ancient Jedi texts still with her.
That's true.
So, you know, it's
Yeah. No, like I say, there's plenty of ways that they can do this that I won't be upset at all. This is just my immediate reaction to the trailer.
how much do we think Uncle Mark is actually going to be in this movie?
I think minimally.
Force ghost.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, I think he'll be in it like Alec Guinness is in Empire and Return of the Jedi. Like, I think he'll be a bit character.
Alec Guinness is in those movies he talks more than I always forget how much he fucking talks.
He's in them for a decent amount, but not for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, he's a minor character at best.
Sure. Okay.
And that's kind of what I think for Mark. The other thing, Kate, getting into your wanting to talk about Luke's monologue, we've taught you all we know.
Yes.
Is the first thing Luke says. So, obviously we know Luke's in it. Mm-hmm. Certainly possible Yoda is there, especially after Last Jedi. Are we going to see a Ewan or Hayden cameo?
Please, God.
Okay, so follow-up question on that. Could we also mean Leia?
It absolutely could mean Leia.
Oh, yes.
We're not, if it's not specifically about the Force or wielding the Force, obviously they are kind of recreating whatever, resistance organization they have, and they've taken some hits in leadership. And does Leia die in this movie?
Undetermined.
But I can definitely see, Leia dying, or otherwise, not being with the Resistance, or like having Rey go off on her own to take on the big bad or take on Palpatine or whatever. And Luke is saying, we've taught you all we know, and she can get leadership skills or something from Leia. I don't know. But I think that's something to consider.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, this is about, passing on the original trilogy kind of to a new generation. So what a great fucking point.
Now that, does anybody else have, I'm going to say it again, as if I didn't say, did anybody else have any last thoughts about the 9 trailer? And then we talked
I know,
about
I was going to say, I think we have to move on at this point.
I just want it now is all. Those are my last thoughts.
Same.
All
right, moving on to the next big thing that we saw at Celebration, which was the Vader Immortal panel on Friday afternoon.
So, Chris, I think you're going to have to explain this a little bit for people who are, I guess, like, not big gamers, but also probably they're gamers who haven't really gotten into VR or the Oculus because of the, the price and stuff.
Yeah.
It's $900,000 trillion to
I know,
do
right?
any of this.
But yeah, so apologies in advance because this section is going to be a lot of me talking at the mic just because the medium and the plot line are more my area of expertise.
Great.
I know. Everyone already quit the pod. Just fast forward 20 minutes. You'll be fine.
20 minutes?
Fast forward 6 minutes. You'll be fine. Fast forward 30 seconds until Kate kills me. You'll be fine.
Fucking fuck.
So yeah, Vader Immortal, for those that don't know, is an upcoming virtual reality experience. It is. It's a VR game experience, whatever you want to call it, that is for primarily the Oculus Quest, which is the new home VR system put out by Oculus that is untethered, so you don't need a computer to run it. It is literally just its own console, it's its own headset that just goes on your head. You're not connected to anything. You don't need another console or a TV to run it. It will also run on the Oculus. Oh God, what's the old one called?
The Rift.
Rift. Thank you. It will also run on the Rift. So if you have one of those, you don't need to buy new hardware. But if you don't have any VR, you will. It is essentially buying a new game console. I want to say it's supposed to retail for $400. So that's that out of the way. And we got a story trailer for this one. And the number one thing, which we kind of knew before, but now we really know, is that it takes place on Mustafar in Vader's castle. Which, by extension, not just makes it a kind of continuation of Revenge of the Sith prequel to Rogue One, but also specifically a continuation of Charles Soule's run of the Darth Vader Marvel comics, which we don't talk about on the pod, but have done some really, really interesting things with Vader and the Force and showed the building of his castle. And so there are a few things that we see that they talked about in the panel and a few things that they didn't talk about in the panel that we see from the trailer. The first thing that they did talk about is that we are going to actually get to interact with Mustafarians, the little bug people.
Oh.
They appear to be main characters. We have never actually seen them on screen anywhere except like very much in the background during Anakin and Obi-Wan's fight. We see them a little more in the Vader comic. So we know that they're going to be there. We also see Vader kneeling at some sort of glowing object. And to me, it looks like some sort of Force shrine. This is something we actually do know that this exists, that there is a well of the dark side underneath Vader's castle. That is why he built it there. It's a big plot line in the Marvel series, the Souls run of the Marvel Darth Vader series.
His depression man cave.
Yeah, essentially. So that is a thing, and it looks like we're going to get some weird Force shit on this one. But so that's kind of what we know. And we also know from what they said that you're going to, as part of it being a virtual reality experience instead of, a quote unquote video game, you are like basically the entire castle is there for you to explore. Like you can run around the entire castle and you could do the missions, but as part of it, you can run around the entire castle. So you'll literally, it will look like to you when you have the headset on, like you're walking around Darth Vader's castle, which is kind of cool.
Chris is gonna Kickstarter this.
Right? like
And Kickstarter getting me an Oculus.
Yes.
No, it's a birthday present, yo.
All right. Wait, Chris, I have a question you may or may not know the answer to. So, one of the things I noticed while I was watching the trailer is that the graphics for this game are not quite up to...
Yeah, they look shitty.
Well, okay. Okay, I was going to say it more nicely, but sure. Do you know why that is? Is that a thing across all Oculus thingies, or is that just specific to this? And, like, why? Is it a hardware, software thing?
I am not a hardware buff. This is not my area of expertise. My assumption is just that as a standalone object, as a standalone platform, the Oculus just doesn't have the processing power that a PC or a PS4 or an Xbox One does. Because that's not a software issue. That's a hardware issue where it just can't render better graphics. And being a standalone headset, it wouldn't surprise me if that's just straight up a hardware issue.
Okay, because I feel like I'm running through one of those Harry Potter games for the early 2000s.
It doesn't look good. It looks like a PS2 game. Like clearly the point of it is to be this immersive experience as opposed to, video games try to be immersive by trying to look as lifelike as possible. This is going to be immersive by putting you in the castle. And I will say, so I actually did a demo of it at Star Wars Celebration. I was lucky enough to get a spot in line. And you forget about the graphics.
Okay.
It is pretty immersive. Like I did this like training dojo scenario where like the droids literally go all around you. You need to turn around in space to keep from getting shot at by training droids. There's a scene where Darth Vader like just comes right up to you and like is like in your bubble and he's taller than you, and it's like, oh, this is uncomfortable and you're in my bubble. And it's like actually kind of terrifying. So like the feel of it is there. I don't know in terms of, what I just don't know enough about the hardware game and VR to know if like this is a thing that VR is trying to overcome, this like lack of computing power while trying to keep it a compact system. I don't know if, for example, the Secrets of the Empire system, which is the same company that developed Vader Immortal, and in fact is Secrets of the Empire is a tie-in to Vader Immortal, we know now. I don't know if that looks better. I don't know if there is other VR that looks better. But yeah, this is if you're somebody who really values smooth graphics, don't get your hopes up.
I've tried like some of the demo crap on the Rift, and I felt like it looked better than this personally, but it was
honestly
a while ago.
That wouldn't shock me because the Rift is hooked up to a computer.
Oh, duh. Yeah, that makes
No,
sense.
it's not a duh. Like, because this is supposed to run on the Rift too. So that's also, I guess, another question that I have. Is it going to look better on the Rift than on the Quest? But I think there's a bunch of questions about what it's going to look like, what the future of VR looks like in terms of how do we get it to look good without making you buy a high-end PC to run it.
Sure.
And I think that's one of the big, just, getting off of Star Wars and onto VR and video gaming as an industry. That's like kind of the issue right now, right? Like hardware constraints matching up with what we want to do technically from a software perspective. And that's an issue with next gen gaming platforms. Like there was new information about the PS5 and kind of what that hardware is going to look like. And it's super advanced because right now PS4 games all have like an hour-long load time, and that's something they're trying to fix.
Yeah, thank God.
So, hardware nerd talk is over, but that is, I think, for the first time that we've seen in Star Wars, that is going to be a constraint. No question.
That's interesting. That's really, really, really interesting.
Yeah, and I kind of I don't know whether or not you guys are in the same place as me, but I have very mixed feelings about like Star Wars going into this medium because it's so fucking inaccessible.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like if I'm going to buy a whole new thing, it better be fucking great and last me, which is like obviously, with the hardware issues and the graphics, they're going to be continually improving this. Like they're continually improving anything, but it's not really like buying a PS4 and then it's going to last you like 3 or 4 years.
Right.
That's a great point.
Yeah, for sure. Which is why one of my questions is, how much do we think they're going to wind up making this add to the overarching, like, cross-media storytelling that is Star Wars? Like, how integral is this really going to be? Because, like you said, it's so fucking inaccessible. Like, I don't know how much you're going to want to, like, bury in there in terms of telling.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And that kind of gets at what my feeling about Galaxy's Edge is at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. It's inaccessible for a lot of people. And I think you could I think you could say that about, Battlefront and Jedi Fallen Order as well. Like, these are media that are more expensive and not everybody can afford them. And I think part of Star Wars leaning into that is just capitalism, and they want to create this multimedia experience. And, I think part of the new interconnected canon is going to, I think part of it is that it's going to have to work such that people can understand whatever it is that they see, like whatever it is that they do have the chance to experience, and it won't take away from their experience to not experience stuff. And I think that's certainly a challenge. But yeah, the accessibility aspect is a question. And I think also just adding to the concern is I'm also wondering how long this is going to be, because it's called Vader Immortal Episode 1. So we know that there's going to be more, and they said on the panel that Episode 1 really focuses on lightsaber combat. Episode 2, you'll get more force powers. They let slip, they didn't make any official announcement, but a couple of the people on the panel mentioned that it's a 45-minute to an hour experience.
One episode? You mean?
Yes.
Okay.
One episode is going to be a 45-minute to an hour experience. Now, I have concerns about that because, look, it'll be replayable. You'll be able to do the lightsaber dojo as often as you want, because they said it's going to be like a training mode, and that's like what a lot of people are going to do this for. That's fine, but like if I'm buying a $400 system and you're only giving me an hour worth of content, that content better only be like $5, which I don't think the Vader Immortal experience itself is. I would assume that the Vader Immortal experience is going to be $50 or more.
Well, for comparison, for people who don't know video games, how long would you say, how many hours would it take you to finish one linear video game that's not open world?
The Battlefront 2 campaign
Which is on the shorter end.
I was going to say the Battlefront 2 campaign is about 8 hours roughly, and many people, including myself, were very frustrated that it wasn't longer. Video games, I would say if you're looking at a single player only experience, it needs to be 20 hours at least. Mm-hmm. So it's really short. I don't anticipate the price point being low after you've already bought the hardware. And development time, after we play this 1 hour experience, are we waiting a month until episode 2? I think it'll probably be closer to a year or two.
Yikes,
so
dog.
I think, and look, it's me. I'm, the hashtag shill for Star Wars. I think it will all work out. This is very much the proving ground phase, and they're not looking at this as this needs to succeed. They're looking at this as this needs to be proof of concept for what they're doing over the next 10 years. But I do think there are going to be bumps along the way. I've kind of reconciled myself to the fact that because this is very much in the wheelhouse of what I want to do, I'm going to sink a lot of money into it because I'm a sap and have the privilege to do that. But it's...
Well, you're
Vader's little bitch. Absolutely Vader's little bitch. There's no question about that. But I am going to be making the choice to sink money into this, and I am probably not going to get my money's worth at this point.
Totally. I'm way more excited about 10 years or 8 years from now when our fucking space phones are even more powerful than they are now, and it's like a $100
Yes.
add-on, and it's like $2 an app
Yep.
or whatever the
And
fuck.
And on it, and I think that's absolutely coming because that's functionality that exists for your phone right now. If you have a Samsung or a Pixel, maybe if you have an iPhone too. I'm not positive about that.
They're
Okay.
something
Yeah.
Apple
Um,
something.
But yes, so it's also kind of interesting to me that they partnered with Oculus instead of doing something like that. So I think there's a lot of questions. There are going to be kinks to work out for sure. It's a new medium. It's going to be a little weird, and for a lot of people, this is just going to be a check the Wikipedia summary,
Sure.
and that's fine. Like
Yeah.
there's not a problem with that.
That fucking works. Can we have a minute for the note that Keeks appended to this section? Please read it
Listen.
for our lovely listeners.
I left my glasses over there, so I can't see it.
No, I meant Kristen.
Yeah, I wrote it. I wrote, "What is this trap ass music at the end?"
Oh my god, so true.
The end.
Oh, speaking of the end, one last thing from a story
God.
perspective again, since allegedly we're supposed to be talking about in-universe stuff. Fate Has Chosen You is a garbage tagline.
Oh my god.
That is,
TF
that is a
garbage
that is a
tagline.
garbage tagline for a Star Wars game in the year of our Lord 2019. Like that's terrible.
Yeah. It sounds like something that would happen on like a shitty computer game.
That's
in
exactly what it
2003.
sounds like.
Like for some shitty fantasy thing where you like have to go slay a dragon. I don't
Like
know.
yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. Like
It's a choose your own adventure book.
like not even the Force has chosen you. Not even Vader has chosen you. Either of these would have been better ideas than Fate Has Chosen You. Like I feel like Fate has
Still terrible ideas, and they should
Yeah,
not have
like-
been that. Vader has chosen.
But like,
garbage.
I feel like Fate Has Chosen You is just like somebody shook like a generic video game like Magic 8 Ball, and that's what popped up.
Literally, yes.
Well, they spent so much money, developing it for a VR system. The tagline was kind of an afterthought.
David S. Goyer got tired.
Oh my god. All right, shall we move on to Fallen Order?
And now I'm
Yeah.
tired.
Speaking
of
of
this.
being
Let's talk about
tired,
Fallen
let's talk
Order
about
and
Fallen
how-
Order.
All right.
Speaking of who's disappointed, Kate or
Me?
Chris, who wrote that
I mean,
note?
we both are.
I thought
For
so.
anybody who listened to our previous episode, and I know obviously you two haven't, I'm very worried about this game, and I don't think it's going to be good.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go off for a hot
Yeah.
second since you just
I went
talked
off last
for
episode.
fucking ever.
I did. I
but
did warn you.
Number one, yeah, I know. Number one, this is being like produced by EA. Period. That is problem number one. Number two, number two, literally, you are making a video game out of what was Caleb Doom / Kanan Jarrus's experience post Order 66, but you didn't make this game about Kanan. Why?
I literally said, "Is this supposed to be Kanan? It doesn't really look like Kanan, but it really feels like Kanan." And Miranda was like, "No,
It's-
it's
Motherfucker's name is literally Cal.
I know, it drives me fucking insane. Like, you could have made a Kanan video game.
The Cal is short for Caleb.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Like, you had this character with a whole backstory that is, like, unexplored. Like, between, him, breaking up with Janice Casimir and going off on his own right up until the beginning of A New Dawn. You had this entire field where, his life was your fucking oyster. And from a selfish point of view and being a total Kanan fangirl, like, you may know her from Twitter at Spec7, Francesca Carnitas. She and I affectionately call Kanan's lost years. We refer to that phase of his life as him being dirtbag Kanan. I would have killed for a dirtbag Kanan video game, like, so much. And instead of doing any of that, you made a generic white bread white boy character, which super fucking disappointing after the humongous diversity win that was Janina Gavankar as Iden Versio. And just like you just literally made a very, like, what looks to be a very predictable video game. Like, oh, I was a Padawan and then Order 66 happened and now I'm fucking sad and I'm gonna go work in a fucking mine and save my fucking NATO friend from falling into a pit with the Force. Whoops! I got found out because I used the Force by accident. And I'm just like, cool, I'm gonna go take...
Where
I
have
know,
heard
like,
that before?
can I just go take a nap in the back? Like, I don't care, you know?
Yeah.
Also, like, EA, just stay in
my
your
God.
lane. If you would have made, like, now this is Pod Racing 6
Yo!
or whatever the fuck, it probably would
What
have
a
been
fucking
great.
mood.
Like, it probably would have been fucking great. Or, like, some sort of space Quidditch.
Yes!
Or something. You are very good at sport. Except for NBA Live, which we won't talk about. But Madden is amazing. FIFA is amazing. What are
I
you
know.
doing?
And I just like... I
at all.
I feel like we've all been waiting for Star Wars to finally take the fucking license away from EA, and they still haven't fucking done it yet because contract, blah blah blah. I don't care. Just stop it,
I think if
Or like if it's gonna stay with EA.
Fallen Order fails, they're pulling the plug.
please God, because I just
Because Battlefront 2 really underperformed because of the whole loot crate microtransaction
Which is
controversy.
really
which
unfortunate.
It is really
because
unfortunate because
story
Battlefront
mode is amazing.
and honestly multiplayer is really amazing because there was the outcry and then they didn't end up going through with all the microtransactions they wanted to do. But the root of the matter is Battlefront 2 underperformed
Yeah,
in terms of sales.
sure.
And
The root of the matter is, does this go all the way to the top, and are they trying to tank this game as a shitty game? 'Cause
Yo,
that's
it,
what that is.
honestly, like, so for me, like, and we've talked about this a little bit, like, but for me, anything in the canon, like, it needs to pass the sniff test of why was this story written?
Yeah,
Like,
why?
what is the point of this story?
What right? Like, what new thing does it add, or whatever the fuck?
Yeah, and like, and we haven't had a ton of stuff that we've read where we have felt like this doesn't add anything based on the trailer. And I am going to go into this game with an open mind. I'm going to buy it. There's a very good chance that I love it and just play it a lot because I like playing as a Jedi with lightsabers. However, based on the trailer alone, I don't know why this story exists. Like, this is a story we already know. I don't know why they needed to make it again.
Or if they had, why not take a beloved character
And introduce him to an audience that doesn't know him. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
If you're
any
gonna-
of these would have been possible.
If you're gonna tell his same goddamn story anyway, like, give me my Latino Jedi for Christ's sakes. Very annoying. The only thing I'm like even marginally interested in is the fact that we're gonna see more of the Inquisitors.
We are. That's true. The
yeah.
antagonist that takes up the most space in the trailer is Second Sister, who is a character who we've seen again in Charles Soule's Marvel Darth Vader run, and Purge Troopers, which are again from Charles Soule. So Charles Soule had a good weekend, no question.
Yeah. But that's like it. Those are all my feelings. I'm just not like you said, we're gonna get it, we're gonna play it, we're definitely gonna talk about it on the pod at some point once we do all those things. But like I just really wanted to be excited for this game, and I'm not.
Yeah.
It's sad.
And the four of us have incredible privilege to be able to be like, I'm going to get this.
I know.
garbage
No,
and play
absolutely.
it.
No question.
Which like
I know. We all know that.
but yeah, but let's like but like let's
again.
acknowledge that. That's
Yeah.
absolutely
And
true.
this might be another Wikipedia article for a
Right.
lot of people.
And that's
The other thing is, so when this game was announced I want to say it was at E3 last year, a lot of people were like, oh, another story set between episode 3 and episode 4. That's original. And like, I was not fully on board with that because I do think there are plenty of stories left to tell in that timeline. But wow, this does not seem like it's it. Like, this does seem like it's like, wow, so basically you hemmed yourself in with a story of this person probably needs to die at the end, and their story isn't even original. So, yeah.
Wow, I can't wait to give no single shits about this.
yeah,
Damn
right.
White Jedi.
Seriously, like
Yeah.
not sorry in the slightest.
It looks pretty. The game looks pretty.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it looks like it.
Of course it does.
looks
It's
visually beautiful. I'm sure that the one black lady character that we see is going to die because
Oh, God, I know.
great.
Especially if she's a lesbian. sorry, just queer. It could be any queer variety of
It's
anything
EA. She's not going to be
dying.
queer.
I know.
EA, even among video games, is not good at diversity. Sorry, we're done shitting. Let's talk about something that's exciting again.
The Mandalorian.
Are we? I'm never done
Guys,
shitting.
I swear, we actually
Literally
enjoyed
or
Star Wars
figuratively.
Celebration and are excited about Star Wars.
I mean, we just spent a whole lot of time waxing poetic about other things, so I think
This is true.
it's totally fine. But let's talk about The Mandalorian.
I was gonna say, tweet at BookWarsPod and let us know what you think about us now being a 90-minute podcast because we don't do episodes shorter than
Nope.
this anymore.
Oh my god. Stop. All right. The Mandalorian. So Chris and I were not able to get into the Mandalorian panel, and so we got I think we linked you to some of the behind the scenes footage that they released at the panel, but there was a second like batch of clips that they showed only to people who were specifically in like at the panel. But we luckily our celebration roomies at Spacious and at Shane Joy 26 were able to actually get into the panel, so we know at least like what the content was of the second batch of clips. So the first effects.
Did you guys? What panels did you guys go to? Sorry, I should have put this up at the top.
No, it's
but I meant
fine.
to ask.
We Chris, you went to the.
I went to the Clone Wars panel.
Yes, you went to the Clone Wars panel. We both went to the Rebels panel. We what else did we go to?
We went to a bunch of the publishing
a
panels.
bunch of the publishing ones.
In terms of the big ticketed panels, Clone Wars was, I think, the biggest one I went to.
Yeah.
Because Friday, we didn't even try to get into 9. Saturday, the big ticketed one was Galaxy's Edge, and I didn't care. No offense to Galaxy's Edge, but I've made my feelings about that clear.
I've made my peace
Yeah,
with Florida.
basically. And then Sunday,
Sorry, I don't know why that was just so funny to me.
right?
But it was.
And then Sunday was Mandalorian, which we didn't. We went to the store instead because we knew that the store line would be short. So by choice for the most part, but the only big panel we got into was Clone Wars, or I got into was Clone Wars.
Right.
And then we did lots of book stuff.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about books at the
Yay.
end too.
Absolutely. But so the first set of footage, which Chris and I were able to see because they just like were beaming it to the Star Wars show stage on the hall floor, in which we shared with you, Keeks and Miranda, was just some behind the scenes footage. And even that, like, it looks so fucking good. Like, I was excited for The Mandalorian going into Celebration. I'm so excited now. It looks so amazing.
It looks really good.
How much fucking money are they spending?
I
A lot.
know. It's so
Hey,
much money, and I'm so here for it. Like they built everything by hand, and then they like roughed it up and made it look dirty and gross because Star Wars. Like it's like, I mean, like his armor looks incredible. Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian, his armor looks fucking incredible. You know, all the spaceships, all the sets. Like I can't even imagine how much makeup like is going to cost them because I'm sure they're going to be like what we heard from Jess and Shannon is that there are like a ton of aliens. Like it's going to be baller, guys.
Yeah, it's interesting because like, so like obviously like everybody wants to have their own streaming service now because that's kind of like where the money's going because like cable's dying, which thank God. 'Cause cable's terrible, but like now like basically all the networks are cutting out the middleman, which like people are complaining about, blah blah blah, whatever. But
Eat my ass.
kind of the accepted wisdom is that Netflix rightly owns this space. Like everybody has a Netflix account. Like people have HBO too, but once Game of Thrones is over, that's going to be a question. Disney is very clearly not coming to play, and they're very clearly ready to launch Disney Plus with stuff that people want to pay for, including The Mandalorian. And it's exciting that they're putting this much effort into it.
Totally agree. I was like, my first thought when I was like watching it was like, shit, this looks like an HBO. Like that's like, I was like, this is an HBO trailer.
Absolutely. It's certainly, to use a different series, but a touchstone, it's certainly Game of Thrones production quality.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the closest thing we have to it TV wise right now.
On this
right?
scale, yeah, I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Totally. Absolutely.
And they spent
They
a
sure
shitload of
fucking
money
did.
on
They
that.
spent like cinema film amounts of money on that shit.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see when the streaming bubble bursts because I don't understand the business model. But that's a different question.
Well, and I'm not here to defend fucking cable, but I'm like, am I somehow spending more money now that I don't have cable to be able to watch all the sports and shit that I want? Like, was I better off with a
Yeah,
cable
sports is where you're
membership? Because now, well, yes, and that's well known, but now I'm like, well, I spend $5 a month on this, and I spend $8 a month on this, and I spend $10 a month on this, and I'm like, wait, how much does this fucking add up to? Plus my internet,
Yep.
motherfucker.
And your phone and. Yep.
So like that's it's a catch-22 because on the one hand
Help
you
me,
get
I'm
to
poor.
decide exactly what you want. You're no longer going to have the the proverbial 10,000 channels and nothing to watch issue, but you are going to be paying more money for each individual channel that you want, and it will add up.
Right. But getting back to the Mandalorian,
Yeah,
what?
we're very off topic.
I mean,
Sorry. No, I mean,
No,
that's
it's
not really
not.
off topic, though. Like, honestly, it's like, this is a very big production quality, very expensive fucking thing that Disney's rolling the goddamn dice on. I think they're going to do an amazing job because I think they know what the fuck they're doing, but it's like, what can we point to besides Game of Thrones that is even like in the ballpark?
Totally. Disney's doing the thing, but also, I mean, they also own everything anyone cares about these days, pretty much. So I know. So here we are. So going back to the footage that none of us on this podcast actually got to see, but we had described to us by very generous friendos. So what the audience who were at the panel was given was a fully, it feels like fully edited and rendered scene or whatever the fuck you want to call it, of the Mandalorian, who is still unnamed, Pedro Pascal, going into some kind of like crime boss in the Outer Rim, and this like evil dude is flanked by stormtroopers who like in all senses of the word are like fucked up. Like their armor is all scratched up and dirty and like bloody and all this other stuff. Like clearly they are now mercenaries for hire, which is like a cool thing to think about, you know, like what happened to all these people after the New Republic sprang up. And so the bounty is on a person that is valuable to the Empire and is in their 50s. We do not know what they look like. We do not know their species, their gender, nothing. And so, you know...
Stupid question. How do we know they're in their 50s? Were they just like this?
Yes,
person is in
literally,
their
yes.
50s?
This is information. And information that the Mandalorian is given. And he's like, "What? But who is it?" And the fucking crime boss is like, "Well, I heard you're really good at your job. You'll figure it out." And that's it. Right. Sure. And so, you know, the speculation game begins on who this person is. And so we're like, is it Rey Sloane? Is it Ahsoka? Is it somebody fucking else?
Would Ahsoka be that old?
She would be...
Well, that's... My question might be related to that a little bit. I'm going to pull a Kristen and ask if we know when the show is supposed to
We
be
do,
set.
actually. John Favreau mentioned in the panel that it is 5 years after the Battle of Endor, which makes it 4 years after Jakku and 2 years after Last Shot, the novel.
All right, so Ahsoka, as of Rebels, is about 35 years old. Somebody do some math for me because I had beer.
She's 35 and yeah, I guess that makes
she
sense.
is.
Okay, so
Thereabouts.
if she's 35 in Rebels,
She's between the ages of 34 and 36 somewhere in Rebels.
all right, so let's call it she's 37 by Yavin. To be very generous.
Sure.
If she's 37 by Yavin, and this is 5 years after Endor, that makes it 9 years after Yavin, so 46. It's a little light, but yeah, it's close.
Yeah.
I don't actually think it's
Ahsoka!
Ahsoka, but
I don't think so either. If it were...
Oh, me neither. But
I think Rey Sloane would be a really cool character.
I'm just yelling.
Obviously, obviously Ray Sloan stands. But I mean, I think she's a person who, number one, would be cool to have in the, you know, in some kind of on-screen canon, but also she's a person I think who would make sense. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, she's like long gone by now, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting from a plot perspective because she is allegedly in the unknown regions by
Right.
this point.
Right.
So we'll see how this all works out. If it is Ray Sloan, if it's someone completely new,
Is it Mon Mothma?
if it's Mon Mothma, whatever the Mandalorian's getting paid, it's not enough.
I know. Right? Yeah, but yeah.
Pulling a
that's-
Grievous, just kidnapping the Chancellor.
Oh my fucking god. But yeah, that is all we know right now. And is it coming out this year, Chris?
It is coming out. They announced it is Disney Plus launches on November 12th. It is confirmed that The Mandalorian will be available day one.
Fuck yeah.
At least episode 1 will.
Oh
will
my
be, 'cause They also
God.
confirmed that it's going to be weekly, like more like Game of Thrones as opposed to like Netflix stuff.
As I said to Miranda, I might be in
Oh my God.
Hawaii. Very exciting stuff.
Amazing.
Star Wars from Hawaii, man.
I've never been to Hawaii, but I'm assuming those are two of my favorite things. I'll fill in the gaps real quick for anyone who's invested in my personal life. Upon getting a new job, I immediately booked a trip to Hawaii for me and Quinn because we haven't been able to fucking do anything while I've been going
As
to
you fucking
Denmark,
should.
So roll tide. Thank you. Also, it's his birthday next
Happy
week,
birthday,
so
Q.
He gets fun
Like,
things
Never mind.
or whatever the fuck.
Anyway.
It's all right. Everybody's mind went there.
Anyhow. Do I have any more thoughts on The Mandalorian besides that we're hype?
No, because they haven't actually released any fucking public information.
I know, but I'm super hype.
Sorry, my like not bitter thing, but just laughing because it's so peak Lucasfilm. We had an entire weekend of Star Wars stuff. The only piece of news we got is the episode 9 title.
It's true.
We got no news for anything else.
Except for the books thing, which we'll get to in a hot second. But
We didn't even though. We didn't even get news about that.
we
We got a hint of news that will come.
oh my god. Anyway, does
We got
anyone who
project
is
name.
not Chris, who has been talking so much, have any other thoughts on The Mandalorian?
It looks good.
Yes.
It looks
I'm
very
excited.
Yeah, I'm very fucking excited because I'm Mandalore trash.
Fuck
like you, Mom.
yes. I'm gonna make you join the Mercs with me at some point. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. Speaking of Mandalorians, because they're also relevant to our next topic. We got another trailer for season 7 of the Clone Wars, and I want to die. I want to fucking die, because what we found out is this is news. What we found out is that season 7 is going to mostly focus on Ahsoka and the clones. We're getting
That's true. That is news.
Yes. So we're getting. If anybody remembers the panel that Filoni did a little while ago about Ahsoka's like lost stories or untold tales or whatever the fuck the panel was called, he is drawing on that material to do season 7. So the storylines we're getting are Ahsoka's walkabout.
He can go fuck himself because
I know.
devastated.
So we're getting Ahsoka's walkabout, which is like her in the lower levels of Coruscant, like trying to kind of like figure out what her life is going to look like after the Jedi, which I'm really excited for because originally, as conceived, it was going to be her following around this dude bounty hunter and kind of mooning after him, but they changed his character into two sisters who Ahsoka is going to befriend, which I'm very excited for because more ladies in the stars is always a better thing. We're getting the Bad Batch, which, if you are familiar with these unrendered story reels where people are just kind of floating instead of running,
It's actually better than the actual show.
that's happening. And of course, the Siege of Mandalore, which guess I'll fucking die. Guess I'll just actually keel over.
I can't believe
I
it's
know.
actually
That's
happening.
honestly, that's me.
honestly.
I know. I just like I have so many. Gah. I just have so many feelings. Also, thank you for whoever wrote "This is gay" in response to Ahsoka's walkabout, the characters being changed to two sisters, which, like, honestly, like, yes, because, like, I love that we're just, like, moving away from Ahsoka, like, having a crush on goddamn Lux Bonteri, who is a fuck. Who is a
No.
fuck. And I just, like, I want queer Ahsoka, especially after reading the Ahsoka novel B.K. Johnston, so all this is yes.
What if the Mandalorian is finding Lux Bonteri?
Oh.
No, he does not.
Die in
He does not.
Inferno
doesn't.
Squad?
Aiden is supposed to kill him, and she does not.
Oh no.
Oh, right. I
No,
didn't
it's
know that
fine
book.
because you're meant to
It's
believe
like-
that he dies, but she just stunned him.
Did any of us? Actually, the other two hosts of this podcast remember things that happen in books, so I'm not going to bring them in. I'm not going to drag them into this. Yeah, this is. I am fucking dying. I wrote it's gay, but Miranda furiously nodded her
sure.
head while it was happening. So
3.
There was just a lot of tension in that scene in the trailer where she was like, "This is my ship," or "That's why I have my ship." It was there was queer
love
activity
it.
going on there, for sure.
Yeah, it does feel surreal that we're finally getting the Siege of Mandalore, and we're finally getting the end of Ahsoka's arc that Filoni imagined. You know, would have been interesting if we'd gotten it before Rebels, if Rebels would have come out any different. But like people, so this is the one panel that I actually was in, the one big panel I was in, and we got, before the trailer, we got the unrendered version of the full scene where Ahsoka walks into that hangar and all the clones have changed their masks to be her markings. Like, people were tearing up. No question, people were tearing up.
Oh, I was crying. I was crying watching the fucking
Yeah,
trailer.
like- And also, another fun fact that may not be widespread is for Maul in the Siege of Mandalore, because obviously we know that Maul is the big bad in the Siege of Mandalore arc. They actually got Ray Park to do the mocap for Maul in those episodes.
Right?
Fuck off.
Yeah, like I think you told me that Filoni was saying like this might be the best animated lightsaber fight we have ever gotten.
Yes, so he specifically said, in contrast to the Maul Obi-Wan fight in Rebels, which was very minimalist for story reasons, he knew this one had to be big, and he thinks this is the biggest one he's ever created.
Is it bad that I'm like, listen, let me preface this point with, yes, we have historically finished the Clone Wars people on this podcast.
Yes, we have.
Whomever. We also love the Clone Wars on this podcast. I love the Clone Wars more than almost anything. Kate also loves
Oh,
it.
I love
as
it.
Ahsoka. And great.
Oh my god.
Great. Chris needs to speak up about something. Anyway, but like, just because I was somebody who drug the people who were finished the Clone Wars people does not mean I'm any less
Oh, for
excited
sure.
about this.
Like
And I'm somehow like more excited because I really never thought it was gonna happen.
yeah.
And I'm like crying thinking about it, and it's too much for me. Like I'm not gonna be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, oh my god, it's gonna be really fucking emotional, and I'm just gonna. I can't.
I can rewatch the Clone Wars now, right?
If you have them on
have
DVD,
to.
because they got taken off Netflix.
I know. Well, I've been thinking of a reason to get them on DVD.
Fair.
So
It's happening.
they're very expensive. I hate Disney right now.
I know. It's real.
All right. Next thing, Kate's pointing to me, so I'm assuming I'm allowed to talk again.
Just for right now.
We did not. This is honestly my biggest disappointment about Celebration is that our flight left at such a time that we were not able to go to the Resistance panel.
which I'm so mad about.
If you have followed me on Twitter or listened to our Resistance Wrap-Up pod, I love this show so much. We didn't find out a ton about Season 2 as the public. The people who were at the panel actually got to see the Season 2 premiere. We didn't get a trailer. We did get a poster. And I'm just kind of monologuing because Kristen and Miranda, I know you two haven't watched the show, even though you should.
Meh.
Listen, we're trying, okay? We're in the new house now.
Excellent.
We're going to watch Resistance.
Where can those of us who
It's
maybe have
available
not
on the
seen
Disney Now app.
Resistance do so?
So if you have cable, you can log into Disney Now. Okay, well,
Absolutely don't.
I
If you have a cable
We
login.
will figure it out.
I have a cable login. We're good.
It's totally legal. Miranda pays for it.
Yep. Anyway, we got a poster there's not a ton about it, but one huge thing is that Kaz and Tam are equal sizes and get equal billing on this poster, and that is huge to me because Tam is obviously a black woman character. She's a character that is fast becoming controversial because at the end of season 1 she turned to the First Order.
Spoilers, sorry.
Season 1 ended like 3 months ago.
No, I mean for them too. But
Oh, for you too. Oh, sorry, y'all.
Oh, we don't care. Is she gay?
I want her.
Okay.
Unconfirmed, but yes.
you will understand. You will understand Chris's lesbian like shipping after you watch.
You will. It's true.
Hashtag Tanara. Anyway.
She is one of the people who I ship with the lesbian pirate. Yes.
Yes.
So, but to me, it's huge.
Those are two of my
Lesbian and
favorite
pirate.
words.
I know. If only she were blue.
Yes.
But Tam, if you read any of my reviews for Tashi Station, I always kind of bemoaned the fact that we weren't getting more of Tam's backstory and that she wasn't being put in the spotlight as much as Kaz, because Kaz is very much the hero of season 1. It very much looks like season 2 is going to be Kaz and Tam on their opposite sides of the spectrum, and I am so unbelievably here for it.
Fuck yes. And I know that for those who were in the panel, they did show the premiere for season 2, which I hear is life ruining. Even if we had been in there, we would not be allowed to talk about it, so doesn't matter. But I am excited and also clearly not emotionally ready. Like, clearly I'm just going to be wailing on the floor,
I know, right?
which is Star Wars. Speaking of wailing on the floor, I'm going to throw a tantrum at Tom until he tells me what Project Luminous is. Just kidding. I would never do that to Tom. Tom is an angel.
He would also not break.
No, he would not. He's a consummate professional. Oh my gosh. So Chris and I finally got to meet Tom in person at Celebration. I think he was overwhelmed by me. He's just like this very unassuming, quiet guy. And as I was saying, I didn't get there till Friday night. So Chris had already like met Tom and like introduced himself, whatever. And so Tom like pops up very quietly at the Hyatt bar when I got there. And so we were at the bar and Chris was like, "Oh, by the way, this is Tom." And I was just like, "What? Oh my god!" I know.
The
Like,
Tom?
I probably scared the living shit out of him. Sorry, Tom. I was just like, I feel like I was very loopy from being on a plane and not getting enough sleep in St. Louis and being excited, and I was just like even more overwhelming than usual. But anyhow, so Lucasfilm Publishing had a panel on the Monday of Celebration featuring Claudia Gray, Justina Ireland, Daniel Jose Older, Charles Soule, and Captain Scott. And you know we had
First of fucks. How fucking
that group of
rude.
people. I know, like Jesus. So first, you know, we had a good time, you know, asking them like, you know, the usual questions like how did they get into Star Wars, like what's been fun for them to be writing in Star Wars, la 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 la. And then we got to the meat of the thing because we were all just sitting there waiting for the shoe to drop, and it wasn't much of a shoe. It was like a fucking like half of a shoe. Like the other half got ate by the dog and just has yet to throw it up or whatever the fuck. The 5 of them are working on a something for Lucasfilm Publishing called Project Luminous. It is coming in 2020, and that's literally all we know about it.
Can someone explain the difference between Lucasfilm Publishing?
For sure.
And
So
Del
Del Rey itself is an imprint of Penguin Random House, a publisher, and they specifically are the arm that publishes the adult Star Wars books, Kristen. Lucasfilm Lucasfilm
adult.
Publishing is kind of like the umbrella for everything, really, right?
Yeah. So there's also Disney Hyperion Publishing, which does the YA and younger books. But yeah, Lucasfilm Publishing is basically in-house
At
Lucasfilm, the people who manage the publishing of all Star Wars stories across various other publishers.
Yeah, so that's across books. Does that include comics, Chris?
It does include comics,
Yeah,
yes.
comics, like kids' books, all that. So now you know.
Sounds fake,
Yeah.
but okay.
And like literally, so this panel was an hour long. for 55 minutes, they talked, had incredibly good and interesting discussions about, writing and writing for Star Wars and all this good stuff. And then the last 5 minutes, there is out of nowhere, like pictures of those 5 at Skywalker Ranch, where they went on a retreat to Skywalker Ranch and like had like a creative
Thank
like
God.
brainstorm retreat. And then a slide with the quote, with Obi-Wan's quote from A New Hope. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together. Next slide. Until ... Next slide. Project Luminous coming in 2020.
And that's all we got.
And that's literally all we know.
That is so fucking rude.
I know.
On so many levels. One, why wasn't Nancy there? It's called Skywalker Ranch. She should be allowed to go. Podmom should be allowed to go wherever the fuck she wants that has
Correct.
Yep.
Skywalker right in the name. Also, Kate was supposed to be able to go because she's Kate.
So true.
Aw,
Chris wasn't allowed
yeah.
to go.
true. But yeah, all we know are those facts and the fact that Tom, we've been mentioning Tom, associate editor Del Rey, is super fucking excited about it. And that's literally all we've got. So
Yeah, I don't know what this is gonna be.
I was about to say we have no information. So guys, what do you think it is?
I mean, ultimately, I think it's probably gonna be based on what I've read about it, which hasn't been too much. It seems like it's probably gonna be some kind of overarching publishing effort. So instead of, I don't even know how to phrase this. Something where like, maybe DJO puts out a book and Claudia Gray puts out a book and there's some comics and all of that, but they've got the same themes, they have kind of the same end game, and I almost see it as like a mini I don't know how to make this into words.
Like a series or like a mini series, like
Not-
you mean? No, and I'm not putting words in your mouth. This is an actual question. Do you mean like something that's like focused on one particular story from multiple? I was just gonna say artists because
Like-
my brain is broken. From multiple authors.
Kind of, yeah. Like maybe not necessarily a series,
like Fact Pop,
like,
but bigger.
yeah, or broader, I think is maybe the way to put it. Like hopefully it involves some weird Force shit,
That's what I put on the outline.
but like something addressing weird Force shit. I think it's probably going to be some kind of concerted effort on the part of Lucasfilm Publishing to have these stories that are coming out that are pushing the same ideas, and like focusing on whatever themes they want to pursue with weird Force shit. And honestly, if Daniel Jose Older and Claudia Gray are involved, I like want everything to do with this. I am so excited for it. I don't even know what it is. I don't really read the comics purely from a book's perspective. Like, I already can't
Seriously.
wait for this.
Totally agree with that.
Mom, can I ask a dumb
What?
question? Do we think this is going to be over all age groups?
I don't know because I think there is a fair chance that it is, just because Justina Ireland, because it's specifically Lucasfilm Publishing, not one of the publishers, and because Justina Ireland and Kevin Scott have both written for younger readers. Justina Ireland wrote Lando's Luck, which is a middle grade book, and I think she's working on something for young readers, but don't quote me on that. And then Kevin Scott wrote the little like Han and Chewie choose your own adventure books for kids. So
And he writes for IDW's Star Wars Adventures comic line.
which are
Which
aimed
are-
toward younger readers.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah, I don't have guesses about what this is. I do, just like my brain is like putting together breadcrumbs. Like, I think based on the authors involved, other than being like they're all stars, like I do think their breadth of experience is noteworthy.
Oh, and Daniel Jose Older, in his like actual like authoring career outside of Star Wars, has written middle grade books. I should mention that as well.
Yeah, he does middle grade. He has a big middle grade,
Series.
at least one middle grade series.
Yeah.
I don't know who Shadow Shaper is for.
Yeah. If anybody here is new, I am so sorry, first of all. But we
Oh my God.
covered just the quote adult quote books, and we do some YA and we do some middle grade.
We do all the YA.
We did a ton. We do
And
all the YA. We do a
Correct.
droplet of middle grade.
But yeah, so I think that's certainly noteworthy. I think it's noteworthy that this is being announced as coming 2020, right as it's announced that there's going to be a hiatus in the films after 2019. I think the fact that we have that quote about the nature of the Force, that it's called Project Luminous, which obviously harkens back to Luminous Beings Are We from Yoda. I think when we get, we're getting this at the same time that we're getting Rise of Skywalker, which looks like it's going to be more about the Force and like moving away from the concept of the Jedi as the end all be all. Master and Apprentice, again by Claudia Gray, just came out, which again, no spoilers, but it has a lot of Force lore. Charles Soule's
No spoilers, but
Yeah.
I bet it's
Right.
fucking good.
Charles Soule's Vader run is very heavy on Force lore. So I do think putting those breadcrumbs together, it is something to do with the Force and maybe some sort of Force mythology project. But in terms of the medium, I think I don't know if it's a series of books or what, but I actually think it's something that like we aren't even thinking of, because the fact that everybody is just so excited about this, like I honestly think that they just put them in a room and were like, if publishing as an industry didn't exist, how would you want to do this?
Yeah. What? So I have two things about this. So the first one is, what I would really love is like just in general, and I don't know if it's gonna have anything to do with Project Luminous, but what I would love in general is just the hashtag Ancient Jedi text. You know, I want a Silmarillion for Star Wars. Which, if you're not a Lord of the Rings fan, the Silmarillion is the mythology basically for the Lord of the Rings. Aside from that, I'm just like, what other things can you do with the written word besides poop out a book or a comic or, you know, something in like that general kind of form? And I'm thinking about like interactive fiction. So I don't have any of y'all, besides maybe Chris, because I probably flapped my mouth at him about it, have any of y'all heard of Twine? Okay.
No. Miranda's laughing. Is it something gay, Miranda?
No, it's just a very specific reference to a shitty movie
Thank
from
God.
20 years ago, and it has nothing to do with the written word.
Is it gay?
No,
Oh, well,
it's
retracted.
my uncle's largest ball of twine.
I don't know.
Nope, nothing.
Nope.
Just me. Cool. Never mind.
Listeners,
I don't know what twine is.
if you get the reference, DM us. If you're right, I'll send you something. Anyway, so Twine, what it is, and it's one of like several like online platforms for this, but basically it's like a platform for writing interactive stories. So, you can make it kind of like almost like a virtual, like automated choose your own adventure type thing, or you can turn it into something else. So for an example of a story is, there was a person who wanted to raise awareness about, homelessness. And so what they did was they created, a text-based game where, you know, like you take on the character of a homeless person, and it describes like, you know, it is like, you've been on the streets for X number of days. This is what your physical state is. And then you get a list of choices, and you pick one, and then it goes on from there. And it's like, how long can you survive on the streets, sort of thing. And those are, yeah.
That's fucking wild.
There's another person, who is a trans person who wrote a story about the experience of being trans, it's like, what are the choices you're going to make? Like, how many spoons do you have? Like, can you do hormone treatments right now? Or can't you? Can you go to therapy right now? Probably the most famous Twine story out there is about the experience of being depressed. And again, it's one of those things where it's just like, this is your mental state right now. Can you go to therapy? Can you go to your job and make money and therefore be able to afford to go to therapy? Do you talk to your friend about how you're feeling, or do you like hold it inside? Like all that sort of thing. Like these are the kinds of projects that you can make out of this platform. And so, and I just totally went in a rant and I'm totally spitballing here, but if it is something like beyond like taking the written word and taking it like making it into something else, like taking it beyond just the traditional page or even the traditional virtual page, that would be fucking baller.
The only thing I'll add to that we forgot to mention about the authors is that Cavan Scott is also the author of the upcoming audio drama Dooku Jedi Lost.
Yes.
So again, different mediums that could be worked with.
Yep.
So yeah, it's going to be fucking cool.
How dare Star Wars be non-movie?
Like honestly, like multiple of the authors have said like this is one of the biggest things I've been involved in my career. Like the people at Del Rey are like fucking excited about this. Michael Siglain, who is the head of Lucasfilm Publishing, who was the panel moderator, was fucking excited about this. Like the levels of excitement that I am getting from these people, and again, like not I am getting as in sources, but just like seeing public interactions, to me exceeds a normal novel or series. Like it goes beyond that. So it's whatever it is, it's going to be cool.
Yes.
All right. Before Kristen has what I'm sure would be her third stroke of the episode because of length, let's wrap it up here. Thank you for listening to this extremely long bonus episode of the Book Wars Pod. Again, even for us, this is a lot. So this isn't something we normally do, but we had a lot of thoughts about Star Wars Celebration. Now they're out. We're going to go back to our normal schedule. Next episode, we're reading Battlefront Twilight Company by Alexander Freed, chapters 1 through 7. Also, we never actually decided what our contest was going to be to give away all our Celebration swag. So we should do that at some point. But we have a lot of cool shit. So watch our Twitter and our podcast, I guess. Anyway, in the meantime, hit us up. Watch the podcast. Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr at BookWarsPod, bookwarspod@gmail.com if you want to email us. And if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, come to AwesomeCon 2 days from now as you listen to this at 8:30 p.m. on Saturday in panel room 150. Kate and I are going to be running / on a panel. Kate's going to be moderating about Star Wars multimedia storytelling empire. Basically what we talk about on the pod and the benefits and challenges of working on an interconnected story like this. We already have a couple panelists announced: Bria Livornia from Tashi Station and StarWars.com, and E.K. Johnston, author of Queen Shadow and Ahsoka. We are, as you listen to this, we will probably have our last panelist confirmed, but we don't as of recording it, so I don't want to say it right now, but it's going to be a really fun panel and we're really excited. So if you're in the area, come, stop by, say hi to us. We'll give you a pin. Yep.
Rude.
Rate, review, and subscribe to us and the Tashi Station Radio mega feed. It really helps people discover the podcast. And donate to the Tashi Station Radio Patreon and give us coffee at ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. As you've heard this episode, your money does not just go into a slush fund somewhere. It gets spent on actual stuff. Kate and I have a sweet new setup to get you guys better audio in your ears. So hopefully it sounds good to you, but also donate if you have the means. It helps us cover our costs. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joe Butera Design. For Kate, Kristen, and Miranda, I'm Chris. Thank you for listening to us wax poetic about Star Wars Celebration this week. We will be back on our normal schedule of reading books next week.
I'm allergic to all of the trees.